Abhiroop. Hi,
Hello, hi.
Sri. Uh, I just watched the film and I think I'm going to use a very commercialized word to describe guts. And the very first thing that came in my mind was Manto's short story Khol Do. I don't know what to ask. I think I will ask you, both of you, how did this happen and how you decided to make this film tell this story because communal violence is a reality of our country. It's not just about one state or, parts of our country, but
I think we are living in times of chaos for a long time. I mean, even now, if you see what's happening in Bangladesh, what's happening in the Middle East, Palestine, what's happening in London, I think we are crowded with chaos for a long time, and we've been dealing with that. And I was going through a phase where I wanted to say something about this chaos. And about that time is when I, very serendipitously came with this. I read it somewhere. It came in an article how these three women survived the riots using the technique that we show in the film, and that happened in reality. That's cinema. That's something. I mean, the void I was trying to fill, I had something to say. So that kind of wanted me to delve into this riots, but at the same time, I didn't want to make a film which had to do with the communal disharmony, because there has been films which has been made with the Hindu-Muslim angle. I wanted to still go for it, uh, do a bit of research and see what else is there. And that is when I came across, as I further delved into the research of this, is when I came to know this very startling kind of information. Is there were more than 100, 200, the numbers of course vary according to sources, uh, almost 200 plus Hindu women were raped and mutilated. This also I wasn't aware about. And somewhere while going through this piece of information, this line came from somewhere that women are just flesh, they don't have any religion. And that became the lens through which I wanted to tell this story, which was based on true incidents. But this gave me the lens to approach the story from that angle as a director, or something that I wanted to say about the riots, because there has been films, as I said, which has dealt with the other aspects of it. I thought the way those three women survived for 2 days, 3 days, 3 nights, and I thought that was something which reminded me of, in a way, Schindler's List. And I thought this is something that we could share with a bigger audience. This story needs to be told. So I think this culmination of these two three things made me write Gudgudi, and today we have been able to make the film. So I think that was mostly the story.
so I will ask you, Rajshri, as an actor, it needs, I mean, the way times have changed, the kind of stories we want to tell and the kind of stories we can't tell, or we need to, maneuver through a lot of things to tell certain stories. And as an actor, how easy or difficult it was first to go through the script and then, performing it for camera.
First thing, I have approached this script, this story, as in a very woman's perspective. I feel that the world has become a battleground now, and we all are some or other way surviving in this world. Imagine, even a hospital is also not safe for a doctor. Like a college and a hospital where a medical doctor in Kolkata, has to go through such a violent thing. So, it's not just even a natural calamity, the disasters, there also people are not safe. Women especially, go through tons of things in those areas too. So what he created, that battleground, is the battleground which is actually happening everywhere. Be it from the Nirbhaya cases to be it, in the village, and be it in a home where, things are hidden and we think that everything is perfect. It's not like that. Even a woman in a household, be it she's a daughter or a wife or a part of a family, she's also not safe. So that's how I felt that, how what kind of a situation we have come up into over here is where a mother had to tell her daughter that be numb, because being numb is going to give you life. I think it's the worst thing what a mother has to tell a daughter, a woman has to tell another woman, that survive. Like to survive, to be alive, you just don't do anything. And that's exactly, if you just translate into it, that, a mother telling her daughter that, if whatever happens in your household, don't tell anyone, because, the world is looking at you, that you have to be in the society, so there are so many incidences you can actually relate to a space like this. And the film is about that. It's about, like, whatever happens with you, just be numb. And when she gets to know what actually, then she herself is thinking that, what in the world, I'm like, what is this? What's the point of actually living? What's the point of, where the time has come that I have to tell my daughter something like this? And yeah, so I've just approached it in that way, that I may be a person who's fighter, but there are so many people, so many women, men, community people are not able to open up about what is actually happening. So, Gudgudi is, maybe people think that it's a very, joyful word or funny word, but it says so much about that, what is actually, it's not just about touch, it's about, um, piercing into someone's soul in a very different way. That's how I feel. And I'm glad you gave a reference of Kholdo, because that is, when I read this Kholdo, I was shattered. And in the similar way, when I was doing we were shooting, and I won't reveal about the situation, but I was there when Abhiroop was the camera managing and everything was happening. I was actually thinking about that, the exact same story of Manto. And I was thinking that, what must have gone through, what must be going through people's mind who's dealing with something like this. So, yeah.
So the next question I'm going to ask, I mean, you can decide not to answer, but there are a lot of propaganda films. We know that they are, I mean, if I watch a cinema, whether it's from this side or this side, I don't want to get out of the cinema hall and hate someone. You know what I mean? In the भीड़, ये जो भीड़ है जो जमा हुई है प्रोपेगेंडा फिल्म्स की, इस भीड़ में एक ऐसी फिल्म जो आपको सोचने को मजबूर कर देगी, that are you a good human? Are you doing something good to the society? If you're not doing anything for people, are you just being nice in general? Nice is a very cheat word, I say. Are you really a good human being? तो एक फिल्म, that leads you to that question. How do you think will reach to people, especially when there is this crowd of all Dhol Nagara and propaganda films? How easy or difficult it is?
I think this reminds me of something. There's a lovely line which Leonard Cohen once wrote, and it says that there's a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in. And I think that kind of sums it up. I mean, if you go back to World War II as well, some of the finest films have been made when the world was in the most severe crisis, when the world faced chaos, destruction in every way. One of the finest films have been made during that period. And in terms of propaganda films, what you said, if you ask me as a filmmaker, to be very honest, I don't mind you making propaganda films as long as they're well made. In the sense that as a filmmaker, I would love to, in those 2-3 hours or 25 minutes, I would love to believe what you are doing there. I don't mind watching a Zero Dark 30 because that's a very well crafted film. But I mind watching some of the other films which I've come across as propaganda films. As a filmmaker, if you ask me, I love films leaving me a question then telling me this is black and this is white, which we tried to avoid in a film like Gudgudi, where I never told you this is black, this is white. And I feel most films we should remember over the years, because I don't know what is great cinema, but I think it has to do something with time. That 20 years later, you go back to a film and it still makes sense and it's still relevant to you. And if we really go back to that idea of what is good cinema, what is any kind of art in that sense which stays, it has to stand the test of time. So for me, this these are the small gaps in time where you have a splurt of these films, we call them propaganda films. It has happened over history all over the world in this purges of time. But then in the end, 20, 30 years down the line, we always go back to those films like a Schindler's List that I mentioned. You mentioned Kholdo, Manto. 56, 70 years down the line, Manto even makes is more relevant now than maybe it was when he was writing the stories. So I feel these propaganda films will be out there, and I don't, very honest, as long as someone is making them honestly, although they are not made honestly, but as long as craft is considered as something which it comes from that purity and honesty, I don't mind watching a propaganda film. But that is not happening mostly in Indian cinema. America has been able to do that for a long time. They have made propaganda films and well. I come from that school of thought that as long as the film is made well, and I believe you in those 2 hours, and it leaves me with a question. It doesn't tell me what is black and white. You are allowed to make a film in your way. That is something I believe.
What is your take on this, Rajri, as an actor?
As an actor, I definitely would like to understand the subject, because apart from everything, I'm just not an actor. I'm a, social worker and a human being and a citizen of this place. So I have to be responsible what I'm telling, why I'm doing this, and need to understand. We cannot say that we are not political. We all are political, and we need to understand actually what's happening in the world and the society. And being a creative person also, that you have to even understand that what way the person is telling the story, as Abhirup mentioned, that the craft wise. But apart from craft, like nicely better shot or whatever it is, how it's written, why it's written. Propaganda means what? You are purposely doing something to demean someone else. For me, that is something which is absolutely no, because you can't just put someone a category center and then say that okay, B, C, D, E, F, which is best, and then A is like not the best ones, or they are the the culprit or whatever it is. I think I don't buy something like that. I would like to understand what is actually happening, and you can't put caste, creed, into a film, in this way. You can't. We all are telling a human story. We all are telling what is actually happening, but not putting someone, demeaning someone and putting someone else up. Then that is something I feel that, okay, I think I would like to not be part of it. Let them make it, that's their faith, their money, and they have their crowd and everything. But I think I don't like to be part of something like this.
And I believe the film is going to festivals, and I'm certain that it's going to, receive great accolades. What are your expectations from the film? That's my last question to both of you.
To be very honest, I would want the film to be watched in the capacity that a short film can be watched in the best way possible. Because we both know that we can't release a film like this on a theater. Our country, irrespective of how it is, doesn't allow a short film to be, which is also very a short film thing. Because I've seen in theaters in Prague and in Europe where people are lined up at 9 a.m. to watch short films, and the theater of 700, 800 people is full. So we are not there. But at the same time, making this film, the effort was to raise a question, to leave with you a question. I didn't want to give you a solution. I don't feel film can change us. I don't believe that watching a cinema can change you as a person. What it does or what it can do is it can leave you a question, something that appeals to your inner self, something that shows you the mirror. My job as a filmmaker, or I think as any artist, is to let the painter paint and let that be out there. So all I would expect from this film is let the film be out there in some capacity where people, if anyone wants to go and watch, they can go and watch the film. And one of the reasons why at that point I thought this film should be made, because our history is being manipulated and fabricated every day. It's being changed. It's being rewritten. So maybe 20 years down the line, maybe 2002 riots never happened. So we would want to keep I want this film to serve as a time chronicle that see this happened. And I want this to be a warning and a reminder. That's all. That's all I want this film to serve, the purpose.
No, I think what Abhiroop said it so rightly that, what's the reason of making films? And it's, you know, a lot of times people say that, Rajshri, why do you work in such serious films, like be it Trial by Fire or be it, now this one also. I feel it's like, as you said, it's an important stories and stories has to be put it across. We are not, like I understand entertainment has a space, but we want to leave with questions. We want people to know that, that there are tons of women lived life like this, and they're still living a life like this. And as you mentioned, of course, it's not just the riots everywhere. I just want to make it very clear that everywhere, they're living life like this. Yeah, so history, it's unfortunate, but it's unfortunately repeating also. We just need to remind people that, because of, I don't know what, the greed, because of your internal issues and politics and all, people, the innocent people have suffered. And I think, that's the reason every film is important, be it an entertainment one or be it whatever it is. But, the messages has to be conveyed to people. The society has to be aware of and empower about these things. So that's why we work in films.
Yes, and we should tell stories that,
Should tell stories, yeah.
serves a purpose. It was lovely talking to both of you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
your time. Thanks. Bye.
સબસ્ક્રાઇબ કરો ગુજરાતી મિડ ડે. બેલ આઇકોન પર ક્લિક કરીને મેળવો તમામ વિડીયોના ડાયરેક્ટ નોટિફિકેશન.